So, welcome to the FPLUSA Press Play podcast with not Brian and Bux or Dan. They're both out having new babies, so FPL Dallas and myself, FPL Pass, are filling in for this Game Week 37 preview. Um, just to have you here, Dallas. Great to see you again. You're one of my closest friends in the FPL community, so I'm glad to do this with you. Any thoughts? Anything you want to say?
Yeah, great seeing you again. I always have fun chatting up FPL with you. And this game week was kind of brutal for me, but I look forward to talking through it anyway. um, Getting all my frustrations out, and then looking forward to the next one.
Same. I had a good week. We'll get into it here. Just to start off, Bucks ended up with 42 points after a -8. Saw a lot of hits flying this week. I was on a -4. I saw a lot of people -8s and all that. Sadly on pace for his worst season by far, and his four uh X streak of being in the top 100K will come to an end, sadly. Now, at the star of the FPL USA community, Brian was on 55 points, 36% red arrow from 285th in the world to 390 in the world. He flew too close to the sun and moved Mamouche to Cunha for a fucking blank, and then KDB differential did not work out. Now, one thing that I remember Dallas saying last week was that KDB only had one shot and somehow, scored and
Yeah,
people got lucky, but this time not so much.
some guys
Um,
just get all the luck.
right? That's the Jamies and the Bryants of the world. Just they keep getting away with it. How did you do this week, Dallas?
So not too great. I got 47 points, but with a -4 hit, I got down to 43. Captain and Mbumo, which was probably the best part about the week. Otherwise, I didn't really have any returns outside of I got an assist from Sar. I got a goal from Bowen though, and then two clean sheets, one from Henderson and one from Vardiol, and then no really other returns outside of that. Um, I was gonna do Mateta uh, to Evan Ilson. No, I was gonna do Mateta to Wissa at the deadline, and then we got the news that Marmouche was benched. So I did. I kind of was moving too fast, and I accidentally did Mateta to Wissa, and so the benched Marmouche was in my team. And so I
Jeez.
knew that I wanted Evan Nilsson for game week 38 anyway, so I went and took the hit now. I was going to have to do the hit anyway in 38 to bring Saka in. So I just went ahead and moved up the hit this week because of my accidental mistake before the deadline. But hey, Mateta only got 1 point. Evan Nilsson got 2. So the hit didn't turn out to be that bad in the end, but overall, game week wasn't great.
Yeah, man. Honestly, it's been that Mateta's been brutal. That forward, I mean, all the forwards this week. I mean, honestly, I had Chris Wood. Um, I don't think that many forwards did great, especially the template ones that everyone was talking about, like Cunha, Wissa, even Evan Nelson didn't do well. I ended up on 78 points, but that's counting a -4. I took a -4, so 74 points. Um, yeah, like my forward line all blanked. Obviously, the highlight was SA. I think like SA kind of defined your week if you had him or not. So he had 16 points, which was great. Um, Munoz got 11. I had Bowen. I actually sold Salah, so I did Mamouche and Salah to Sade and Holland captain. Um, that was disappointing. Holland just honestly didn't even look like scoring. So he should have had an assist, but that's like the most he should have had. Like he was awful. So it makes me worried not having Salah. Salah hasn't been great, but still, it makes me worried because Holland just out of form. I did get lucky with Dan Burn finally got an assist. I was kind of doing the math in my head. I'm 1 point down from going Dan Burn over Livramento. Just because in 34 I would have free hit them both out, and then in game week 33, that's when Dan Burn got -2 on my bench boost. So that was brutal. But he made up for it with an assist and the clean sheet and the 2 bonus points. So that's good. Other than that, just like you said, Mateta, awful signing. I mean, just keeps getting subbed off. Absolute brutal to watch him. He doesn't even look like himself anymore. It's just honestly not a good look. And then other notables from the weekends. Yeah, the city leaks lead to a lot of people bringing in KDB, Holland, all blank. Palace assets all deliver outside Mateta, as we spoke about. SA over SAR has been a massive swing. Um, that was one good thing when I went in game week 30 wild card. I knew I wanted to take some chances, so I did go SA over SAR. However, I did go Burn over Livramento, and then going Saka over Palmer allowed me to get SA. Just because I just hated SAR in the beginning of the season. I mean, he's just a tease. He just looks like he's in a haul and then doesn't. I'm sure. Did you go with SAR?
I did. He
SAR.
hasn't been fun.
Yeah, it's honestly just, especially like him scoring twice in the FA Cup, it makes it even worse, right? Because
Yeah,
like, of course he scores there.
he has the potential. It's just it doesn't come together in the league.
Yeah, honestly, it like I owned him, so I did the Semenyo to SAR in, I forgot, I think 19, game week 19. Um, and I went from one troll to another troll. I mean, both of them are just brutal to own. They're just, I mean, tease after tease.
Yep.
Uh, Now, taking a look at game week 37 and the players that the lads think will bank between 37 and 38, do you have anyone in mind? We can start off in the Friday game. So Aston Villa and Spurs, and then Chelsea and Man U. What do you think about those games?
So those are actually probably the two best games for captaincy. What people are talking about. So that Spurs team, if we go back and recap it, at the weekend, they gave up about I think it was 3.39 expected goals against Crystal Palace. And I noticed that Crystal Palace also had 2 goals that were disallowed. So that 3.39 isn't even counting those other chances that they got, and they could have scored if they had been slightly more onside, or if they had held their nerve and gotten through, and not been called on that. And so I feel like Watkins would be the best captain here for the game week. He and the Villa team are back in contention now after all these results. They were in contention before, but it was kind of on the outside looking in. But I believe they're tied on points with Chelsea now, and they can easily get back into it with if they keep winning out, and then if they hope that Chelsea loses one of their next 2 games. And I know that they're playing Nottingham Forest on the final day, so that's going to be a huge one. So they should be motivated to score, maybe get the goal difference down if they possibly can. I'm not sure what their goal difference is between them and Chelsea at the moment. But I know that Chelsea's ahead in that category. They'll probably want to get their goal difference a little bit better if there's any chance of them overtaking Chelsea in that. And so because of that, I would say Watkins is probably the best captain. They're probably going to try to put 4 or 5 past Spurs if they can. And for me, I would say it's definitely possible given what we saw at the weekend. And then Chelsea versus Man United, I think that'll be a good game as well. I know Palmer's been kind of out of form, but United, Amarim already did say that they wanted to rotate in the league, and they will, like Spurs, also be focused more on the Europa. So I'd expect them to score probably 2 or 3 goals, but I think the Villa game is a little bit higher ceiling.
Yeah, just going off myself. I mean, I think those two just exactly the point. I mean, Aston Villa that's probably the easiest kind of the high upside game for a lot of our assets like Rogers, Watkins. Um, and yeah, I mean, at the weekend, Spurs just looked like it could have been easily. I think if it could have easily been 5-0. I mean, in the second half, I think Crystal Palace, they kind of started. They have a final to go, so they kind of slowed down a little bit. And then for Chelsea and Man United, I mean, a lot of people were talking Palmer earlier. I do like Palmer. I just don't like his game week 38 fixture. So you know, it's tough. I know Forest haven't been great defensively lately. I just think going into that final game at home, it's going to be very hard to break them down. So I think I do like Palmer in 37. I just don't like him in 38. And I just don't. If you're not going to captain him, I just don't know if it's worth 37 and then moving to Saka. Like two transfers. I think it's just better to bring Saka in for 37 and 38 because you're going to captain probably Saka at 38 if you want to chase some mini leagues. And then moving on to the next games, I mean, Everton against Southampton. Any assets there?
Yeah. So Everton, Southampton. Trying to think if there's anyone. If you want to be Maverick, I guess Beto.
Okay.
Our old friend Beto that had that run of form randomly, and then to be honest, I thought he was an NPC. I thought he wasn't a real person. And then Calvert-Lewin got injured, and I was like, well, who's this rando? And then he got inserted, and I was like, what? He's starting to score all these boatloads of goals, and I guess that David Moyes striker spot is pretty conducive to points in FPL. So if you wanted to punt there, and you were really chasing and wanted to have fun, Beto, I would say. And then otherwise, if you have someone like a Mikalenko that scored this past week, if you have one of those Everton defenders, he'd probably be the best of the bunch. But if you already have any Everton defenders, that's probably a decent chance of clean sheet. Probably wouldn't use a defender transfer at this point, though. But if you already have them, like I know a few of the guys in FPL USA do, they're a good start this week.
Yeah, same. I mean, Beto, I mean, I just think it's if you don't have to start him in 38, right? If you just need a striker for this week, because they do have Newcastle away in 38, that's I think Beto's good, right? If he allows you to get someone like Saka or Palmer, if you want to go there, I think that's a good enabler, and I just don't see him in 38 being a starter, but he has been scoring, so you can definitely chase with him. And yeah, Mikolan, if you have an Everton defender, just start them this week. It's one of the best matchups this week for defenders. So I think definitely go ahead and start them. Now moving on, we have West Ham and one of your favorite teams, Nottingham Forest. You called their downfall earlier, so and they are falling. There's a free fall.
Yep.
Any assets in those games?
So West Ham, I would say definitely Jared Bowen. Nottingham Forest, especially away from home, they've been very poor on defense, and it'll be at West Ham's stadium. So Jared Bowen, been in really good form. He only needed one shot in the entire game at the weekend to score. So we know he's capable of producing on low volume. And then if you have someone like a Wan-Bissaka, it's probably not a bad option, but again, I don't think I'd use a transfer to bring him in. If you have an Areola, then that's probably a better start, I would think, this week than someone like Araya or someone who has a harder fixture. Just because Nottingham Forest are capable of struggling, especially since it is away from home where they have been kind of inconsistent lately. And then I guess if you don't really have a better matchup, you can play Nico Williams. If you don't have a lot of good defenders with clean sheet potential. Or if you want to get a little wild, you could bring in Dominguez.
Okay.
So Dominguez was the starting left winger for Nottingham Forest this week. He got in the box a lot. He took a few shots. You would be one of the managers that went ultra differential, and you can, if he scores a brace or hat trick, you could go down to the local pub and you could brag to your friends about this for centuries. And so I would say that Dominguez could be for you if you are bold and brave.
Man, going Dominguez, that would take a lot of balls. But hey, if you need a defender this weekend, I actually don't even know his price. But if you do need a defender, and
Well, he actually played left wing uh, in for Nottingham Forest at the weekend.
but is he listed as a defender?
I'd have to go and check, to be
No,
honest.
I think he's a mid. It might be a mid, but if he's playing, 4.8, hey, if you just need that 0% owned player that needs that has a chance of scoring, go ahead.
Yeah,
And
he's on the wing. He got in the box quite a bit. I mean, if you want to have fun at this point, might as well just roll the dice a little bit, be a little maverick.
I do like the one Basaka shout. I mean, he's definitely playing also on the wing, and I think if you're making a defender transfer this late, I think you do need to pick a player that has some attacking potential. Like he had the assist this weekend, and then he has a good 38 fixture, right? So you can play him at both. And I do think he's probably one of the better defenders. If you need a defender for both weekends and for both weeks, 37, 38, I just wouldn't make a transfer like you said earlier. Now, moving on to Brentford and Fulham. This is another good FPL game just because a lot of people have Mbomu, uh, Shade, we have Wissa, and then I think some people have Raul Jimenez, and don't know if other people have more Fulham defenders. You might have your Robinsons who hasn't started the last two games randomly. Um, are you looking at any of these players for captaincy, for bringing in, or starting?
So if you wanted to be an archaeologist, Raul Jimenez, I I I discovered a fossil at the weekend, and I discovered a dinosaur that was revived, and he got a goal against Everton. Who knew that those jangly bones would come back to life and produce such a majestic moment of wonder against the mighty Toffees? And so, if you think that he will keep up that form, I mean, Brentford's not the most elite defense. I know that they have a lot to play for, and he probably wouldn't be my first move to bring in. But if you, again, wanted to be differential, you could roll the dice and see if he keeps it up. Wouldn't be my first choice, but he is an option. If you need someone cheap, Sade is definitely a really good option. I believe he was 5.2 midfielder, 5.2 million. He did really well last week against Ipswich, got the goal, 11-pointer. So he's a good shout. I know most people already have Mbumo and Wissa, but if you don't, then I'd probably suggest bringing them in because, especially Wissa, because there aren't many forwards that are performing right now. So he is probably one of the better options of that bunch. So I don't think I have anyone else besides that.
Yeah, I mean Jimenez. Oh man, I haven't owned him. I have him in draft, and I know he's been doing good there. But like, he's the guy that if you bring in FPL, I mean, we all, not all, but a lot of people free hit him in 34 against Southampton. He was brutal. I mean, just looks old. And then obviously he scores this weekend, and I guess he just ticks along. But he strikes me as a player that you kind of just have to start every week because you never know when he's gonna do good or bad. It's just one of those. For Brentford, as I said, I brought Kevin Sade. I think it's 4 goals in 4 games, which is great. So he should start. He just keeps getting subbed off around the 70, 75th minute. So the minutes are not amazing. But like you said, I mean, he's playing at 5.2, and he's playing. He has good game fixtures at home. I'm starting him this week. We'll get to that later. So I'm excited to hopefully he can score again. And then moving on to Leicester against Ipswich. Leicester, um, I think this is a fairly straightforward one. I think Jamie Vardy, if you need a striker. I just don't know. What do you think? A lot of people are talking about it. He
Yeah.
needs one more goal. He needs one more goal to get to 200.
So here's what I think is going to happen. It's not going to be Vardy. It's going to be my favorite Leicester player of the season, which is none other. Well, it actually was Sumari before, but there's a new guy that's captured my eye
Oh,
recently.
okay.
So his name is none other than Casey McAteer. And so
Okay.
Mr. McAteer was playing on the wing this past weekend, and I noticed that he was shimmying into the box. He used the smooth moves to glide past the defenders of Nottingham Forest, and I think that he can take up some favorable spots in this particular fixture against a susceptible Ipswich side with a depleted injury core. So it will be Jamie Vardy that runs down the wing, but Mr. McAteer will be the greedy one, taking all the goals. And I expect a brace this weekend. Not gonna lie. I mean, he might be the greatest player I've seen since Cristiano Ronaldo.
Hey, you know how I feel about Chris Wood, man. I discovered
Oh,
him since July.
since July, man.
Since July, that guy has been on my radar. But hey, this, and I agree with you. I mean, I feel like if you want to take a stab at players, I mean, this is the fixture to go to, especially Leicester. I think they play West Ham. Sorry, Ipswich they play West Ham, but I forgot who Leicester play. Leicester have a favorable matchup in 38 as well. I think it's let me see right now. Oh, they play Bournemouth away, but I think if you want to just take a stab at these players like the lab, they're there for the taking. Like Leicester, I feel like last home game for Vardy. If you need a striker, you can definitely go there. And then the last game on Sunday, I mean, you pointed this out in the chat earlier. There's no games on Saturday. I mean, it's game week 37. What
I
are we doing?
know. Yeah, what are
What are
we
we?
doing, Premier League schedulers? Yeah.
Come on, like it makes no sense. Like no games on. There's games on Monday. Like why is there no games on Saturday? It's beyond me, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. And then the last game on Sunday is Arsenal against Newcastle. This is a game that a lot of us have assets from. People want to bring in assets from these teams. Any differential here, playing in the wing, just like you like them.
Oh, I love my wingers. So I am gonna say maybe Trossard. So Trossard could be one. I know Marino's suspended, so it can't be him. So I'm assuming that it will be Trossard that comes in. And I don't know if Sterling's gonna play, or if it's gonna be Sterling or Nwaneri or one of those. But I know that it will likely be Trossard in at least one of the spots. So if you wanted to gamble on someone that is in that good Arsenal attack that could score, I'd say him. Not really the best fixture, though. Newcastle have been improving. I see that I think Botman was back this weekend as well. So that's also a big boost for them. He's finally healthy again. And I know that Newcastle, this is a must-win game. And Arsenal they pretty much have second place wrapped up, I think, because they have the goal difference on City. So they'd probably have to draw or lose to Southampton the final day to lose that. And I don't think they will. I think that Newcastle has more to play for than Arsenal at this point. They could kind of go on a little bit of autopilot. If I had to recommend a differential, maybe Gordon. I mean, he's been starting lately, and he could do something. They have it isn't the easiest fixture with Arsenal either. They could be relaxed, but they could also be still motivated to finish strong. For me, I'd say just keep the players you have. on these teams and don't use a transfer to bring anyone in. This fixture is pretty difficult to call, and it could go either way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the only transfer, since we only have two left, right? Two free ones. Maybe people have some rolls over, but I think if you're looking at maximizing your transfers, and someone like Saka, who you want in 38, could be it. Martinelli could be another decent shot because he should probably play uh striker, right? Because I think probably
Yeah, I guess it
Trossard.
could be Martinelli and Trossard. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think both of them are great shouts. And then from Newcastle, I mean, we brought this point a little earlier, but the Raya versus Areola splits. Like, who would you pick there?
I'd probably
It's a tough
pick.
one.
I think I'd go Areola, and that's mainly because Forest away from home, especially, are kind of hit or miss. Like you could get a clean sheet off of them. You never know what kind of team will turn up. Especially lately with the run in, they seem kind of a little bit nervous, like they're not fully convinced that they can do it. And so West Ham have also been playing better as of late. I kind of feel a little confident in them. Whereas with Newcastle, I mean, if they're going to fight tooth and nail to get at least a goal in this game and try to hang on. So I'd imagine that this one's going to be pretty relentless from them, and I think Arsenal may have a hard time keeping them fully out, keeping the full clean sheet.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I think someone like I should have thought about this more last week when I started Raya over Areola against United, and then Arsenal had Liverpool. I didn't really think about it. I was more focused on the leagues. Um, this week, I do want to think about it. I think if you're chasing and you have Isak and then you have Raya, I think I would go Areola just to go all out and maximize your potential these or expected points this week because you need to hope for Isak to score and then wipe the Areola that Raya clean sheet because people are selling Isak to Watkins this week, so he's probably not going to be 89% owned anymore. He'll probably drop down to I want to say probably like 60, hopefully. So his point should matter a little more now. But I think, like you said, if you gotta stick to the players that you have, I wouldn't be starting any Newcastle defenders. I think Arsenal defenders. I think I would probably just start one if you need to. I'll probably bench Kiwior, and then Saliba's a tough one because he's expensive. So maybe you bench, and then some players, from Crystal Palace, which we'll get to later. They might be rested. Some people have the decision of doing Saliba or Munoz. Who would you go there? Who would you pick if you have to start one of them?
I'd probably do Munoz. I think they have a decent chance of a clean sheet. I know that Brighton, they were kind of a weakened defensive side, and they were able to get surprisingly a clean sheet against Wolves this week. And I think Crystal Palace is probably a little bit better on defense at this point than Brighton. So I think if Brighton can do it, I know Cunha is always kind of tough to keep out and to defend at times, but I think if Brighton can do it, then this Crystal Palace team might be able to get it done. And then you also have that additional attacking threat from Munoz as well if that doesn't work out on the clean sheet side. So I think I'd go with him.
Yeah, I mean, I think same. I think the worry is just like if they win on Saturday, right? Are they gonna just party all
Oh yeah,
Sunday
that's
and
true.
then not play Tuesday? That's kind of the worry. So that's why it's close, right? I still think I'll risk it. I'm benching for Kiwior because it's gonna be. I'd rather just take the chance that Munoz starts and hedge against Isak scoring. So I'll probably go there. Now Brighton, you just spoke about them and Liverpool. It's kind of weird one, right? Because not a lot of people are bringing any of these players in.
Yep.
it's kind of like just Salah, and then I don't think a lot of people have any of Brighton and Liverpool. I mean, people might have Brighton because of the game week 32 bench boosters have some Brighton. But anyone there that you're interested in?
Yeah, so I actually have two Brighton, which is funny, but I'm not going to play either one of them.
Right.
I have Verbruggen and I have Dunk that I used for bench boost all the way back when they played Leicester. And
Um,
that's story of my season. Leicester hadn't scored in 11 hours of play, and then they scored twice against my double Brighton defense on bench boost. So that's how that one went. I haven't really played either one since, and I would advise not to play any Brighton defenders this week against Liverpool. And it seems like a lot of our players they're kind of partying. They're kind of just taking in the league title. I saw clips on X about the players are in what was it, Qatar, I think.
Qatar and
Uh,
Ibiza. I saw a slot in
Slot was in
Ibiza,
Ibiza, yeah.
which I found crazy, right? Like the season's not over and you're already partying. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, I know you won, but
yeah,
like I'm I'm shocked, right? Because the game's
yeah.
still coming up. So you're right. Um I who else did you see any other players in Qatar? Was Salah there? Because I'm
No, I
okay
don't
with
think he
Salah
was there.
missing out.
Yeah, he's focused. He's been putting pictures on his page about being in the gym and wanting to get that record. So if anyone,
Yeah,
it's probably going to be him, and I think he can do pretty well in this game. So that's probably also another captaincy option there if you don't have a Watkins or a Palmer. But he has been kind of cold as of late. That's the only thing. It's been a lot of the other guys like Diaz and Gakpo that have been scoring. But he won't be cold forever. So if you want to take a chance here and hope that he really goes for that record and gets back on track, I think this is also a decent fixture to do it.
for sure. And then now the last two games that we have to preview are the FA Cup finalist game. So this got moved to Tuesday. First is Crystal Palace against Wolves. We kind of touched on some of the assets. Crystal Palace assets are a big talking point. What do you do with them this week? Do you sell? Do you bench? Do you start?
Yeah, so I think Mateta is definitely a sell. He he's been way too frustrating. I gave him quite a bit of a leash, and I was like, no, like even this past week, like I wasn't fully convinced on selling him because I'm like, no, it's against Tottenham. They're gonna give up a lot of chances. I don't know if I want to sell. I ended up doing it, but I was still a little scared in the back of my mind that oh well, he could get a goal here. But even he couldn't capitalize on that on a really easy fixture. So he came off early before 60, and I think there's just a lot of other better options in the forward line. If you don't have Wissa yet, he's a good option. And then we have Watkins, and then trying to think of who else. I guess Cunha. Cunha could be also another option. I think we spoke about that before, but I know Crystal Palace are a harder team than Brighton, and they could keep a clean sheet. But if anyone is going to score a goal, it would be Cunha. And even if he doesn't score a goal here, the final game week against Brentford, he'll probably want to end on a high note because I know that he's probably going to leave Wolves in the summer. So I think even if he doesn't score here against Palace, he still has a good shot to do something on the final game week. So he'd probably be a decent person to bring in. I think I would start Munoz though. There's not a lot of good clean sheet fixtures this week. There's a chance he could be benched, but I think I'd risk it. And then I think guys like Eze and Sar will probably still start. They're usually 90-minute men or close to it, and they'll probably play. I think a lot of the rest will come from maybe Mateta or some of the guys in the midfield. But I think a few of those players are still going to probably start, and if they are tired, maybe get an early subbing. But I think I'd still expect to start from maybe Eze and Sar.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I think probably Nketiah comes in for Mateta, so I can see definitely Mateta being sold. I mean benched and sold. I think it's a like you said priority. If you have the money for Watkins, and I don't want to say it's an easy one because money comes into play, right? What do you do with that money in 38? But I think it's a very straightforward transfer in isolation, Mateta to Watkins if you have the money. Now the last game is Man City against Bournemouth. What do you think of their assets? I mean, a lot of people still have KDB. Some people have Holland, like myself. So we have some like you brought in Evan Nilsson. So what are you doing with these players in this fixture? Or Marmoush, I forgot about him too.
Um, I'd probably start them, especially the City guys, because Bournemouth, they're not like a super easy fixture, but I mean they're not an ironclad defense either. I know they have Hyson, but they don't really have anyone else besides him that can really lock anyone down or stifle a team. So I'd probably, if you have Holland, I'd probably still be patient, start him, KDB as well. Marmoush is a tricky one, I guess, because we don't know if that was a one-off benching or if it was just a shift in tactics that he's going to employ from now on. I'd like to say it was a one-off, but I think we need to ask a few of our City correspondents on the FPLX space to see if they have any opinions on that, if how that's going to be. But if you want to be ultra safe, you could probably move him to someone like a Wissa or a Cunha, who you know is going to start. But if you don't, then if you don't move him and you don't really have anyone else that's good on the bench, I'd probably just start him and take the chance and see how that plays out. Vardiol is basically an auto lock. You start him every week, and he does have a chance to return on the attacking end, especially as a left back. I saw him get in a lot of really good positions this past game, so I was pretty encouraged by that. And I think still possible for him to get an attacking return. I do have Evan Nilsson, and I may be forced to start him because the other player that I still have is Mr. Generational himself, Savinho.
Oh
And
God, how does that happen? Who that guy is still alive?
he's there. Remember his 9-pointer all the way back in like game week 31? Man, that's the stuff of
Legendary,
legends.
legendary.
That's when we called
Uh,
him Mr. Generational, the unbenchable. You can't bench the unbenchable. And then he was benched. But I mean,
yeah, it's
I'm gonna tell
brutal.
my grandkids about that one. About I captured 9 points from Savinho before he became a ghost. I'll tell them I'm gonna bounce them on my knee and tell them my greatest feat. And so
Ooh,
and so
ooh.
I have him and I have Evan Nilsson. So I mean, unless we get any reliable news that Savinho's going to start, I think I'm probably just going to roll the dice with Evan Nilsson and just hope
Well,
that. My hope is that Vardiol gets an attacking return and Evan Nilsson gets a goal so that they both get points. And so it's not a very high chance, but it's something that I'm going to have to hope for, I think.
yeah. I mean, you can probably get some leaks from the. Well, I don't know if they're reliable anymore. Mister FPL Tony has not been doing a great job lately. He might go broke if he continues sending fake news out there like Foden starts and then doesn't start, which makes you wonder if it's worth all that money people are paying him. And then the drip leaking is awful at like 8:28
Oh,
or
yeah.
something. I'm like, dude, what's going on? Like, it's it's just not a good look. But now we're moving on to the community questions. Uh, the first one is from the former champion himself, 2021-2022 winner of FPL, Jamie Piggott. Football is life. His question is what to do with Mamouche. He already has Watkins in place, and he's looking to bench boost in game week 37.
Yeah, so the only other person I can think of there is Cunha, maybe, because he already has Watkins. I think I saw his team earlier, and he already has Wissa as well. And those are the two that are pretty much needed at this point because they're the only two that seem to be reliable. It's probably too hard to get to Holland from where he's at, and so
Right.
I'd say the only other option is probably, well, I guess he has Evan Nilsson too, but I mean it's not a good option for this week. So if he needs it for this week, I'd probably say Cunha. I mean, Palace isn't the easiest fixture. We were talking they could get a clean sheet, but if they are truly partying after a win, if they do end up winning, then they would, in fact, be more susceptible to goals. So I'd probably chance it on Cunha in that situation if you have a free transfer.
Yeah, for me it's interesting, right? Because he has the bench boost. I'm not sure how many free transfers he has, but I would actually stick with Mamouche. I think when he comes in, I just feel like he's way more talented than the other players they have there. So I think he brings a different type of spark. He did start with Holland before, so I would probably just stick it out with Mamouche. I mean, my second option would probably be Cunha. Um, the only thing is, like you brought a good point with Evan Nilsson, right? Like Evan Nilsson, it saves your transfer in 38, so that's the issue. So I think honestly, if you're trying to maximize transfers, I would probably go first, stay with Mamouche. Second, probably go Evan Nilsson because he can score against Man City, right? He's a striker for a good
He can, yeah.
a good attack. It's not like we're talking Southampton attack. We're talking one of the best top half of the league attacks. So I would probably go that first. Stick with Mamouche. Second, probably Evan Nilsson to give you flexibility for 38, and then after that, I would probably go with Cunha. Now, the other question we have is from FPL Patrick, aka Patricio, who always tries to troll people but does not do a good job.
Oh,
He asks Holland, Esse, Aina, O'Brien to Watkins, Salah, Konsa, Colwell, -4 on a bench boost. Jesus, that's a lot.
it's a lot to take in. So I guess taking it player by player, Holland versus Watkins. Watkins definitely is the better fixture this week, but if you just brought in Holland, I don't know if I like doing the move to bring him back out. I think if you brought him in, you kind of just stick with him at this point. That would be my thoughts with it, at least. I know he didn't do well at the weekend, but he's a type of player that can kind of turn it on when you least expect it. So I'd probably stick there. I mean, I think even if they do win the cup, he's still going to start. They don't really have another player that can really step in and do what he does. He just creates so much for the team. He's kind of the engine. He's probably a better penalty taker than Mateta at this point. And so
Brutal swing. That's a brutal swing too.
I know, yeah.
Oh man.
And so I'd probably be comfortable playing him. And it's not like Wolves are an elite defense. I know they've improved recently, but I'd say that the way Eze's been playing, I'd say he could probably get a goal. There's a good chance of that. And Salah, I think he is good and he'll be pushing for the record, but yeah, Liverpool, we're kind of in like a party mood, and so you just never know what you're going to get overall. Aina versus Konsa, I mean, I don't know if there's too much in that. I guess Konsa probably has a better chance of a clean sheet, but I don't know if I would. It's really a high ceiling upside pick at this point. I don't know if I'd kind of use a transfer on that. The only one where I would think about using a transfer is O'Brien. And if you could maybe do O'Brien to Konsa, I'd think about it. And I'd only do it because O'Brien was injured this past week, and we're not sure if he's going to be back in time for the next fixture. So if we get news that he's still injured, then I'd probably do something like an O'Brien to Konsa for one free transfer rather than doing a bunch of transfers. And then if he does have all these transfers left, then I'd probably roll them and just go all out attack on 38 and do it that way. He can bring in Saka in 38 and then I don't know who else he has in mind, but he can definitely have his pick of whichever players he wants in that game week.
Same with me. I just don't like it. Wasting 2 transfers on defenders. Watkins is great, but like you said, there's definitely Patrick. There's definitely better ways of bringing Watkins in that would not cost you transfers like that. You can fund Watkins through different means, even Isak to Watkins, right? That's if you do that, he can definitely afford that. So I would rather do that than this -4. Now from Abdullah, he still has the triple captain. If I'm not mistaken, you still have the triple captain, right? So this is
I do, yes.
a good question for you to answer. He wants to know whether to use it on 37 with Watkins or Palmer, or just wait till 38 for Saka, and then any other options except Guehi thinks. That's a shout because Dallas was the resident Guehi fan club president back in 2022, 23. Yeah, 2 years ago probably, when we all wild carded him in.
Yes, he didn't always deliver, but he was always on my mind, and he's always still in my heart. He will not depart my heart, as I say. So I'd say that for me personally, I am probably going to use it on Saka in game week 38. The extra point for the goal and clean sheet and the penalties probably swings it towards him. I know that Watkins is probably a good option this week. We have seen him randomly subbed off at 70 to 75 minutes in the past as well. So I don't know if that's going to apply here. Maybe if they're 2-0 up, and maybe he doesn't score, maybe he just gets an assist or something, and they're 2-0 up, he may just be subbed off. And for a Malen or another player that Emery likes to bring on late in games. So with Saka, we know he's probably going to get 90 minutes. Game week 38 is always the highest scoring game week. And Southampton, I think that one is at home, so they'll probably want to give their home fans one final show, one final attacking display. It probably won't work for them, but they'll probably want to give their fans one final hurrah, one final entertaining game. And so I expect that one to be very high scoring, so I'd probably go him for the triple captain. Now, if you want to be really maverick and do something out of the box, there's a toffee that everyone was writing off this week that came back from the grave to laugh at the haters. He was inserted for the injured O'Brien, none other than Mr. Michael Keane. So,
Jesus.
so he came in, and not only did he do well in that defense, but he got a goal. He used the forehead of truth in order to lash out at the opposing team. And so
Oh
if you
man.
believe in Keane and his very large forehead, what you could do is, it is Southampton, so they could get that floor of a clean sheet. And if you think that shiny forehead is craving more of this, of the ball to the net, then you could end up on a double return with a clean sheet and a goal and 3 bonus from Mr. Michael Keane. Would I do it? No. But if you wanted to be really maverick and if you wanted to have a little bit of fun at the end of the season, then hey, why not? If you're like 500K or something and you're like, let me just go for something that nobody's going to do, Michael Keane, ladies and gentlemen, everyone said that he was bad. He came back, he scored a goal, and he laughed at everyone. So I guess it all depends on if O'Brien's going to come back. So watch for news on that if you want to be that Maverick. But if it is Keane again, I mean, he has a generational opportunity to silence all the haters once and for all, to end the season like no defender has before.
Oh man, yeah. For me, I think if you have to go for rankings, Abdullah, I would put Michael Keane fifth. I think Michael Keane will be fifth in that top five. I think first will be Saka. Second, I do think Watkins is a good shout, but no extra point for the goal, no extra point for the clean sheet. If he does score though, he's almost guaranteed a bonus. Palmer will probably be fourth for me. I mean, or maybe third. I do like Salah still has some merit in 38, so that can be a possibility. And then the next question we have is from the actual host, FPLUSA Brian. He's asking if it's worth -4 hit for Watkins or Palmer captain this week. What do you think, Dallas?
I'd say not for Palmer because of the poor game week 38 fixture. Forrest might actually try to play really defensive in that game and then try to hit on the counterattacks. That could actually be one of the lower scoring games of that entire game week. So even though Palmer has a good fixture this week, you probably don't want him next week. You probably, in all honesty, switch him to Saka anyway for game week 38. But for Watkins, it's a little bit trickier. I know he already has 3 Villa, which is tough.
Yeah.
And he'd have to get Rodgers out. I was pondering it this earlier when he asked it. Initially, I was kind of thinking that it would be worth it, but I guess I've thought about it more, and I actually don't think it would now after further thought. I think if he has Salah, that's actually still a decent captain choice, and he can just go there, and just hope that Rodgers does well. And I know Watkins has the higher ceiling, but maybe Rodgers can pick up the odd assist or goal in that fixture. So I'd probably say just stick and go on Salah.
Yeah, I think the same with. I don't think it's worth. Well, definitely not for Palmer. I just don't think I'll go there. I think for Watkins, maybe if you were able to move a defender, I still like Rodgers, so I wouldn't move him. I'll probably move the defender and then someone like probably Isak. I'm not sure what his team is, but maybe someone like Isak and the defender like Konsa to that Watkins captain. Now, I still think, like you said, I think Salah would be a good option for him, and just keep it as it is, and just pray that Watkins doesn't really do much. Now, we touched on Navy Blues FPL_FPL's question if he sells a bench or the palace players, and who are the best replacements. We spoke about this in the game week 37 preview, but just to recap, we both said that for Mateta is a must sell. So I think players like Cunha, players like Wissa that we spoke about are good similar price points players. And then I think I wouldn't sell Munoz. I think it's you probably just start him. Defender transfer is not good. And then Sar, he's cheap, but if you find if you want to take a downgrade to Sade, or if you want to upgrade to a player like Martinelli or players like that, then I would consider it. But I think SA is another one that you can consider selling. I just think Mateta is the priority one. So I think I will probably sell first Mateta, then Sar, then SA, and then Munoz. I just wouldn't waste that transfer on a defender at this point. Now, Barrister FPL is asking about Arsenal if they're going to sign Jokeris. I'm not sure if you follow much of the Portuguese league. I don't, so just know him because he played really well in the Champions League. Um, any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I don't really follow the Portuguese league as well either. I know that uh, he's been linked with a lot of different clubs, and there's going to be a lot of different people that want him this summer. I think what I heard is that Arsenal need to focus on outgoings first for striker before they look to sign anyone. So they'll have to offload one of, I guess, it's probably Gabriel Jesus who they're going to be looking to offload in the striker position. But he's been injured, and so I'm not, and he hasn't really played well in a while. So I'm not sure who's going to buy. They may just have to sell it at a cut price fee, but I'm assuming they will really want a new striker this summer, and he seems to be the leading guy. So I'd probably say that it's a very decent chance that they sign him, and they'll probably look to offload one of the other ones. But because there's so many people that are in for him, it's not really a lock, in my opinion.
Yeah, same with me. I don't think it's a lock. I mean, if he does come in to Arsenal, he'll be very um, highly sought in FPL just because striker for Arsenal, and he'll probably come in at like 9.5. I'm assuming he has to be around the 9. The same price like Isak was like 8.5 this year, so that was kind of undervalued. But around that area, the Watkins, the Isak will probably go up in price, but around that um, 9 price range. Now we have Cayman fan Matt from Down Under. He's asking, "Congrats to us. Who scores more to end the season, Saka or Palmer?" We kind of spoke about it. I'm not sure your thoughts. I think we're pretty. We agree that I think we prefer Saka for that 38 fixture, and 37. It's not bad. It's at home at least. But I think we both agree that that's kind of where we're heading. I think Palmer, if you really want to be differential this week for captaincy, but I mean that has brought up a good point. That 38 fixture, I mean, it has like 0-0 in the 70th minute all over. Forest are definitely going to sit back and then hit them on the counter, and then without Jackson, it's going to be hard for Chelsea to break them down. And then if they do break them down, I think they are also going to sit back. So I think it's going to be whoever kind of a chicken game of whoever scores is going to sit back. Now, co-host of the show, Dan Blackwolf, FPL_Blackwolf, is asking the best advice for someone sitting at 220k. Top 100k is out of reach, and there's not really a difference between 200k and 400k. So do you try and get the best rank salvageable, or just have random fun? What do you think? You're more of a fun guy, so.
Yeah, I like having fun in FPL. If you want to get the highest rank possible, I'd probably focus on players like Saka next week. And if you have an extra free transfer, you could go Palmer this week and then Saka next week. But I wouldn't do it for a hit, like we said. And then I know he's a big Wolves fan, so if he doesn't already have Cunha, I think that would be fun for him, and that wouldn't be a bad pick either to go for. I mean, he could very easily score in either fixture. So those are the players with the high ceiling if you want to try to push for your highest rank possible. But I wanted to advocate for the other side, which is the extreme differentials
Jesus.
that nobody, no, I guarantee you, no other pod has told you about these men. So I call them Dallas's Fierce Five.
I'm not even sure if they exist. They just might be. They might be random players.
I'm gonna have to reach out to their families to confirm they're not pixels.
They sound like NPCs without even knowing their names. So let's see.
Yeah, so if you are into NPCs, then let me interest you with number 5 on the list, which is, and you'll have to bear with me on this, but it's Jack Taylor from Ipswich. So
Jesus Christ. That's the basic name. That's not even real.
He might have been generated within 5 seconds with a random number generator.
Oof. Jack Taylor.
If you
Jesus
played
Christ.
RuneScape in the past, he might have been like one of those random generated names that
For
you
sure.
had before you went to Tutorial Island.
What position is he? What?
So he's a midfielder, and I brought up his name because he does have the really easy fixture this week with Leicester. And he did maraud forward last week against Brentford, and he did manage to get 2 shots off. Uh,
Okay.
so he is looking to be aggressive at this point. He's looking to be a little feisty in the box, and so he should be able to glide past the opposing Leicester defenders pretty easily. And it looks like he wants a goal. So if you think that Jack Taylor can get a goal, I'd probably look at him for some fun. The fourth one is Casey McAteer. We mentioned him before, but he was playing on the wing for
Okay.
Leicester. And Mr. McAteer, we mentioned he's looking to be greedy. He's a little slide and glide into the box with some smooth moves, and he wants to show that he is more than just a name on a team sheet. He wants to make his father proud. And so what would make his father proud? A Premier League goal right
Jesus.
before he goes down again. And
Okay.
so if you believe in the proud father theory, that he wants to hang a certificate on the fridge after being awarded a Premier League goal certificate, then I would say he's your man. And then number 3, none other than Will Hughes from Crystal Palace.
Okay.
So
We know him. That's
he
real.
he exists,
That's
yeah.
yeah. He's
And
real.
so the injured Adam Morton, he got hurt. I think it was not this past week, but the week before. So he came in and he deputized in that role, and he actually takes right-sided corners. So there is a route to points for assists, and then sometimes he does like to maraud forward and have a pop at a shot. So you could end up getting a goal and assist from Mr. Will Hughes, and he's looking to show teams that, hey, I'm more than just a backup. I am a real I'm a real man with real
Okay.
legs. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And
Who's 2?
2, we mentioned him before. It was Mr. Michael Keane. And you have to believe in, once again, the theory that he is out to prove the haters wrong. Many people on X have no doubtedly been slandering him, saying he is the worst defender in this universe and the next. In multiple quantum verses, he is not good. And so you have to believe that he is going to come back and keep scoring, go on a generational run. I know back when Leicester was doing their title challenge, they had a center back called Robert Huth, and there
Do you
was a
remember that?
game where he actually got 2 goals, and he wanted to prove to people that he was real. And so
I remember that guy. I
yeah,
remember back.
you probably never heard of him again, but he stepped up in that one game. And so Michael Keane is Robert Huth is my comp for Michael Keane.
Okay.
If you want to go there.
And the number 1 player for Dan, who would it be?
All right, number 1 player for Dan. This is probably the best fixture of the week. It is against the Spurs side. It is a guy who got a big chance last week for Villa. It's none
Okay.
other than Boubacar Kamara.
Hey, that's another. That's real. The last 3, top 3 were real. The first 2, I don't think they're real, but
Oh, come
we'll
on,
need the
Jack
listeners to
Taylor.
confirm.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean Jack Taylor, dude. That's the name that they give you when you start your player in FIFA, like Jack Taylor. What
I
is he
mean,
like? 5'10", just normal, average height, British looking dude.
yeah, he's 5'10", 195. He's like a beanpole, but he can kind of glide past people and make them laugh. That's how he gets past them.
Well, Dan, if you really want to finish 500K, go for Jack Taylor captaincy.
Oh, okay,
And
yeah, Dan. If you still have triple captain Jack Taylor, see what happens, and maybe you'll be legendary. There's only like half of a percent chance that it'll work out, but if it does, you can go down to your mates at the pub and you can brag about it for centuries.
for sure. Now to our last segment, transfer plans and captaincy shouts. I know they like doing the shouts like that, so we're bringing it back. Uh, I'll start first. I think I only have one free transfer. I have I believe 3.1 in the bank. Let me see. Yeah, 3.1 in the bank. I'm looking at. I'm in a weird spot because if I do Mateta to Watkins for Watkins captaincy, my team looks really good this week, but that forces me into a hit in 38 for Saka, and it also gives me a front line of Isak, Holland, and Watkins. Now the issue with that is that in 38, I'm not gonna have any room for Evan Nilsson. So that's keep because Mateta obviously has to go, but that slot can be Evan Nilsson in 38. Uh, so I'm not sure where to go. Right, I can do Isak to Watkins this week. Start Essay, and bench Mateta, and then do Mateta and Essay uh, to Saka and Evan Nilsson in 38 for a hit. But again, captaincy is playing a big part with Watkins. So those are my plans. I'll probably I think I'm bringing in Watkins. I think the FOMO will get to me, and I think he's a great captain. I don't think. I mean, maybe Holland, maybe Mbumo for captaincy, but I think, like you said, I mean, Spurs are just awful defensively. So I think that's where I'm leaning because of captaincy. And then 38 is against United, and Villa have to win both games, so we should see good minutes for Watkins. How about you? What do you have in mind?
So if I don't do Salah to Jack Taylor for the triple captain, uh, my actual transfer plans would be to do Isak to Watkins, and then I'll just captain him. I was debating a further -4 for Savinho to Palmer, and then bench Evan Nilsson against City, but I don't think that's worth it in the end because then I'd just transfer out Palmer to Saka for game week 38. So rather than take the -4, I think I'll end up just rolling the dice with Evan Nilsson versus City and not bench him. And I think that's basically pretty straightforward for me. I kind of want to captain Watkins here in this game week. Palmer, if I did take the -4, I think I'd have to captain him. But I think at this moment, I kind of like Watkins a little bit better.
Same. I mean, as we spoke earlier, I mean, Palmer is good, but obviously you got Bacon, no Jackson, right? It's gonna be hard for them to break down opponents. Um, and then also, I mean, Watkins against Spurs. Spurs should put up a little better side. I mean, I'm not sure what better means, but I mean, you imagine your Romero's, your Van de Ven. I mean, they're not gonna want to play this game. They're gonna want to rest up for the final and then win something for Spurs. So I think Watkins is the best captain this week, and then I think probably Palmer. But in your scenario, looking at that, I mean, for that -4, you haven't thought about Saka in? No, you don't like the Newcastle fixture
Well, I can just get him next week for
for
free.
free? Yeah,
I guess I could bring him in for a -4 this week, but I don't know if the ceiling is that high to pay
right,
off this week. I think the money fixture is next week, and I can just bring him in for free then.
perfect. Well, any last thoughts of any Jack Taylor love? Are you gonna sleep with Jack Taylor tonight? Uh any closing remarks?
So I don't think I'd go that far, but what I would say is Jack Taylor's father, if you're listening to this podcast, you can send me a DM on Twitter at FPL_Dallas. My nickname is also the Count of Tuscany because I do have Tuscan Royal Aura that I unfortunately used up all last year in order to get a good rank. And now I'm washed, but maybe Jack Taylor's father, you can come in and you can restore my aura and I can be replenished and refreshed for next year. And if your son needs an agent, I mean, I'm pretty good at negotiating, so I could negotiate you a move to the club of your choosing. And I think that's about it for me. And also remember, smooth peanut butter is better than crunchy. We have to get that remark in there because I'm known as the peanut butter connoisseur within the community. So we just need to give a shout out to peanut butter. Shout out to HEB, my local grocer that provides the highest quality in that regard. And I visit them frequently, and I love to buy their products, especially their smooth and creamy, delicious peanut butter.
Man, my closing remarks are obviously thanks for the FPL USA Press Play podcast host to let us co-host for the first time. They're great guys. Even though I'm tired of Brian and his luck, yeah, I mean, this guy, I've never seen him get a red arrow. I know he wrote that he got one this week. I still need to confirm.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that.
Yeah, I don't know either because he just gets away with everything. I mean, anything he touches is kind of like gold. So I'm I'm trying to get him to get a few red arrows. No, I'm kidding. I think he should keep climbing for a top 100K finish. Not 100K, top 100 finish for him. That double digits will be nice. I'm not sure how far he is. And then thanks to all our listeners. You can follow Dallas at FPL Dallas, as I said. I'm FPL Pass at FPL Pass, and we'll see you hopefully next season. They'll definitely have us as guests, so we'll see you next season. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.